Good noon to you. On the first day of March. How does that feel? Aha, feels good.
It does.
And we are celebrating our Conversations in Coffee. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinating the program with this marvelous Peter John Vogel. And Peter has been a part of the music world since he's been a teenager. He wanted to go on in music, but his parents said, purposefully, you go to Ohio State University and you learn English and you move into the corporate world.
Right.
And so he did this obediently.
Good son.
A good son that he is. And as always, he tells me, this musical world was going on in him. And we are gifted by that staying with you, Peter.
Thank you.
And you shared with me that you went on, you started at Ohio State University thinking also of music, but then you went on and on your own, composing, playing in places like, what, Scioto Country Club, Brookside? Tell us about that.
Well, I decided my friend had an extra piano that she wanted to get rid of, and she's like, I have this piano and I don't know what to do with it. So I said, well, bring it over to my place and I'll just store it for you. So it sat in my apartment for a couple months. I'm thinking, well, it's sitting here, I might as well learn how to play. So every day after work I came home and I practiced for about 3 or 4 hours, and I built up enough material, either cover material or stuff I wrote. So I drove down the street to Brookside Country Club and I met with the owner, or the manager, Jake Williams, and I said, can I play piano for an hour, and if you like it, could you hire me? He's like, all right, let's see what you got. So I played for an hour for free. He's like, I love it. Will you come every Friday from 6 to 9? And I ended up doing that for like 4 years. So, and that just kind of started that. So I'll turn around too, because I know it's 360. But it was kind of unintentional, because I really had no plans of that. But I'm not a singer, and when you're not a singer and you want to be a musician, you have to find other ways to kind of make it happen. So for me, it was learning piano. So it was just a labor of love. I've always loved doing it. When I walked out of that very first show, I think he paid me $50, and I played for 3 hours. And this was back in 1993. It was just like heaven opened up for me. I don't know how to put it into words, but it was really a very powerful experience that I was pretty much doing this at home for pleasure. And then I went out to my very first event, asked to get a job there, and he paid me cash the next week. And walking home was like one of the happiest moments of my whole entire life. It was a thrilling feeling knowing that you can actually get money for that. So I kind of follow that feeling in my heart ever since, through lots of ups and downs, of course, but, so that's kind of that.
And then also, you pass on that love to people who are your students.
Yes.
You have a studio, North Star Studios, and you foster the talents for budding songwriters in a comfortable, relaxed environment, and you nurture that spirit in every age group.
Most definitely.
So that's so good to know.
Thank you.
Well, next to me is this amazing day of March, a violinist
I know.
who will be playing with Peter, who's, by the way, his CD is here and available if you would like to take it home, as I do, and listen to his music. As you, Chris, have a story, an amazing one, Columbus College of Art and Design, and violinist inspired.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was about 10. My dad is a musician and a piano player as well, so this kind of puts me in a comfortable place. We play together in a band called the Andy Shaw Band. I play drums, violin, and I play guitar and sing as well. So I think Pete and I are kind of from the same cloth. We play a lot of instruments. I've actually met Pete playing drums. He was playing drums, and I was playing fiddle in a band called Matt Monta in the Hot Coal Band. So we've been around a little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. and I heard this great animated conversation with our director here. Y'all come up here. Jeff Martin and Chris had this great conversation.
Well, I was excited that Chris was going to be here today. I've known Chris and his family for quite some time. Since early on, in my time in the Recreation Parks Department, I started, before I was working here at the Cultural Arts Center, I worked at another venue here in the department called the Columbus Performing Arts Center, where we ran a theater program for young people. And Chris and Andy's dad, Jim Shaw, was like he said, is a musician, and we knew him from his work with young people in the Grandview Heights schools. We asked him to do some of the musical direction for some of the productions we did there, and he was nice enough to bring his sons along with him for some backup. And I guess that's the beginning. Chris and Andy and Jim have worked with us on a number of programs there over the years, and they've even done some wonderful songwriting workshops for young people at that venue, which was really exciting and new for us at the time. And that's something that I guess they're still doing even today. So we're even talking about maybe the possibility of bringing some of that here to the Cultural Arts, and I think that'd be really exciting. So I think that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I remember Jeff playing Scrooge in the musical, so it was cool. He was kind of walking around like with that cap on. I remember it. It was great. I was like, "Who's that guy? He is a really good actor." I really did.
I'm really grumpy like
Right. And it was a lot of kids, so like you know, the acting quality. You're not really up against much competition. No, it was great though. I do remember like. Because that was when I hadn't met you yet, and then we got to know each other. So, but anyway, yeah, we're doing a songwriting workshop actually at the Jazz Academy downtown, March 24th. Quick plug. So.
Wonderful. Well, Peter, John, Vogel, take it away.
I wanted to say one more thing before we get started. I just want to say that there's, I don't know, 30 or 40 full-time musicians in this town, would you say, if not more? I mean, there's such a proliferation, there probably is, but there's a proliferation of music in this town. And Chris and I are testament to the fact that you can do what you love and actually make a living at it. Now, most musicians that I know that are doing this full-time, they're actually juggling many things. As Chris told you, he actually is in 3 bands. He fronts one band as a guitarist and singer. He plays fiddle in another band, plays drums in another band. And I'm kind of the same situation. My day job is teaching, and then I actually work with a lot of different musicians. In fact, him and I both are on this album, Lisa Gain. We just both recently finished recording. He played fiddle on one track, and I played piano. So it can be done, and that's what's kind of encouraging about it. You just have to just keep at it and just keep the faith and keep plowing forth with the things that you love to do, and it can happen. Because I'm celebrating 17 years of full-time employment. I took my parents' advice until 1996, and I'm like, okay, you got your 12 years of corporate America. You got what you wanted. I'm not happy. I'm going to go do my own thing. And they were not happy about it until they came to my first recital, and they're like, okay, I get it now. He can do this. So, and I'm sure Chris has a very similar story, too. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm just going to play actually the first piece I ever wrote. I attended Bishop Watterson High School and graduated in 1983, so if you do the math, I'm getting up there. And I did a music theory class my very first, or my senior year, very first semester of senior year. And for the class, your final exam was you had to compose a piece of music and then notate it with your standard musical notation. So I thought it was a pretty daunting task, and I was very nervous about the prospect of it. So I wrote a piece that was called Arpeggio Moderato in C major, which sounds pretty pretentious. So I didn't tell people the name of this song because I thought they'd beat me up at recess. So I figured I'll just go play it, write it real quietly at the top, and then move on. So yeah, my teacher really liked it, and it's just something I've always just enjoyed playing. So it's got, arpeggio is Italian for playing like a harp. So it's kind of a harp quality. It might sound like something classical, maybe something Mozart or somebody like that would do. So I'm not claiming to be anything like that, but it was really fun, a great labor of love to put that together, so I thought I'd share that with you today. So, all right, I'll give that back to you. microphone? You want me just to, do you want me to grab that from me? Okay, thank you. Obviously, that was recorded. Well, actually, that was written when I was 18 years old. So it's gone through a lot of metamorphosis since then. Because my piano playing obviously is a little bit better than it was at 18. But the spirit of that was kind of interpreted during that time. And the funny story was, at the time, I was playing in a power rock trio with my two music friends that were taking the class with me. And the one guy looked and sounded just like Eddie Van Halen. So when I told him I was going to write this adagio piece, he's like, "What are you doing, man?" So he wanted to beat me up, I think, after school. So you don't want that to happen. So when I was a kid, I took piano lessons from a teacher. I think I was second and third grade when I started doing that. And I didn't enjoy it at all because it was pretty much going to recitals and putting your music up there and there'd be 40 people sitting quietly like it is here, and you'd play it and you'd make a mistake and you'd feel like the whole world's falling apart, and you look out, nobody's really listening to you anyhow. So it was a very intimidating experience. So I didn't enjoy it. But when I started just to write on my own, I just felt my imagination just kind of came to life during that time. So there's a piece, I don't know, maybe some of you, does anybody here, did they do any piano lessons as kids and learn any of the great classics? Okay, we got a few. There's a real wonderful piece called the 18th Century Dance. I don't know, it's in a lot of those beginner books. And it was one of my favorite pieces. Yeah, one of the Thompson's books, yeah. And it was just a real fun piece. It was back in the day, the word gay meant happy, so it was a gay piece, and I remember I really enjoyed playing it. And I was able to do it for one of my recitals, so I was so inspired by the piece, I thought I'd write something kind of similar to that in the spirit with lots of what we call staccato bursts on the piano. So that's going to be the next one that I'm going to play for you. This is what's called an etude, E-T-U-D-E, and that is basically a piece of music that's just composed for one instrument and kind of focuses on technique and skill. So this piece is on the album Rites of Passion, and it's called Baby Steps, and it's just a solo piano piece that I'm real proud of. It's in C major. It's a very happy or gay key, so I thought you guys would enjoy that one. the technique for that was a lot of those instrumental pieces. I use what's called staccato bursts on a lot of that, and staccato is when you basically have choppy sounds. And I was a drummer. I started playing drums at 14, and I think why it really associated very well with piano is because piano and drums is kind of similar technique. You're kind of coming down on your instrument. So I felt that technique really helped me as a musician overall, because what I learned on drums, working the rhythms of the hands, really helped me work the rhythms of the keyboard as well. So that piece was written kind of as a rhythmic piece, as something really happy and light and airy to play. And what I think I love about the piano the most is that it basically can be its own symphony. You have 88 keys. Your left hand can do opposite what your right hand does. You can play chords or bass notes with your left hand and do all sorts of melody lines with your right hand. And I love the versatility of the instrument. I think it's just a beautiful instrument overall. So one day, I was probably 10 years ago, I just woke up in a really good mood, and I'm a horrible singer, but I love to sing, and I sing every day, but I was terrible at it. So I was walking in the shower, and, there's my little, like that, right? Shower thing. It's my microphone. So, and I was in a great mood. I'm just like, why do I want to sing? You can tell my voice is horrible. But I just came up with this melody off the top of my head. Just one beautiful morning, sunny summer day. So I just sat down at the piano, and I just started to kind of work out the melody. And that's what I love about that. It can be a drum, or it can be a violin. You'll hear Chris in a little bit. It can be a vocal line. So I decided to write this next piece. It's going to be on my upcoming album that I'm working on now. And the song is called Why Do I Want to Sing? But there's no vocals to it. So it's a very strange request. Why would you want to do a song like that? But you'll hear a very different variation on the piano, because the last piece was very choppy and very rhythmic, and this piece is going to be very melodic and very beautiful. So I hope you enjoy it. It'll be released here pretty soon. So this is called Why Do I Want to Sing on instrumental piano. Thank you. As you can tell with technique, if you just work on your motion and sensitivity, you can really do some beautiful things with the piano. So that, I'm 53 years old and I've been playing since I was 8. So, and I've been playing regularly and I just love it. And since I don't sing, it kind of puts me in a bit of a bind. I'm not going to sit down and do any Elton John for you. You don't want to hear that. So as a musician, I had to find another way that I can go ahead and write and create some music and not be offensive to people. So that's why I just chose the instrumental route. So what's been fun about it is that the market is out there. You can find places to play. So if you love something, you can find an opportunity to get out there and play. What's really neat about Chris, and you guys are going to hear Chris in just a little bit, we met 10 years ago, and he was doing fiddle in a country band, and then he plays with his dad, who's a piano player, and they do weddings. And then he plays, he has his own band that he fronts, and it's kind of Motown. So he's all over the board style-wise, and he just can do it all. So that's what's real encouraging. If you just have the wherewithal to just to say, I'm going to do this, and I believe in this, and I'm going to pursue this, then some wonderful things can happen for you, and that's what's been so fun about that. So that last piece is going to be my upcoming album. I'm actually recording it right now, and it's going to be all instrumental. So I don't have any, aspirations of selling a lot of copies, but I just feel those that love music and really enjoy piano music might enjoy having something like that to listen to. The model has changed so much in the last 5 years. I don't even know, were people even buying CDs anymore? I mean, the last one I bought was Gary Puckett's CD, so I didn't even know if people were buying. So if you are, they're set for sale for $10. So, and if you don't have $10, then just go ahead and pay what you want. So it's actually on YouTube, so I don't have it on Spotify. I'm kind of old school in that way. So I'd like to invite Mr. Chris Shaw up to join me for a couple pieces. As I said, Chris and I met in 2008. He was a fantastic fiddle player with the Matt Monton Hot Coal Band, and I was playing drums. And he actually was doing mandolin and backing vocals as well. So he's a very talented multi-instrumentalist. And the very first practice I went into, I'm the dinosaur. I think I was 20 years older than the lead singer. And I walk in and I heard Chris play, and I knew in 2 minutes that this guy was a phenomenal musician. He just has great virtuosity. He's a very good spontaneous player. He can improvise with the best of them. And I knew I was working with somebody special. So I'm very glad that Chris and I we're going to be able to come and play for you guys today. So he's a wonderful musician. So we're going to actually play a piece off of Rites of Passion. This piece is called Dreamscape. And I don't know if, has anybody else in here ever had a dream, something they really, really wanted to pursue but were afraid to for whatever reason? Okay, a couple hands, yeah. So I'm just curious, did you follow through on your dream, or did you bail out? What did you do?
Continue my writing, let people understand what I'm going through in my life.
Fantastic. Did you finish your project?
I'm just continue.
Oh, continue.
I got short stories. I'm making it for people to understand.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. Sir, how about you? You rose your hand, sir. Did you? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Well, one part of the dream I didn't pursue, and that was to be a cop. And the other dream was to go to college.
Okay.
I was graduating classes, and people told me I'd never go to college. I've been twice.
Congratulations.
I didn't graduate the first time, but I didn't graduate the
Isn't that the greatest feeling in the world? Sometimes it's even more gratifying when somebody says you can't do that, and then you go do that. When I decided to quit my job, I worked for a company called Quest Communications. It's telecom. They've since been bought out. But I decided to quit my job. I said, parents, I gave you 12 years of my life, and I'm not happy. I want to go do my own thing. So I went home, told my mom and dad. They're like, you're crazy. You know, you're nuts. Called my girlfriend. She didn't return my call for like 5 days. I'm like, really? Really? It was all about the wallet the whole time. Okay. So pretty much broke my heart. Went on a vacation. I just decided to head out west. Drove out west for 3 weeks. Brought my guitar. Found pianos all over the place. But I decided that I was just going to do what I wanted to do, and if they didn't accept it, then that's their problem, not mine. And it really was a kind of a recalibration of my soul, so to speak. So I'm so glad I did that. I've been 17 years, and I've not missed one meal or one bill yet. So it can't happen. So I've been close a couple times. But thank God I've been able to pay everything. So. But anyhow, this song is called Dreamscape, and this is basically just an instrumental piece about whatever it is you want to do in life. Just follow that. If it's write short stories, if it's play violin, if it's be a piano player, if it's open up a wonderful space like this, you just got to do it. Sometimes you have to just follow the voice within, and everything else you got to kind of push off to the side. So that's what this one is in tribute to, is just following your own voice.
It's appropriate in terms of dreams. Mel Dodge, as you said, this beautiful space, celebrating our 40th anniversary.
It is.
And it is a dream
It is a
come
dream.
true today.
Beautiful space.
Uh-huh.
Actually, if I can, I just want to share this real quick because this is actually kind of a funny story. I bike a lot. I bike all over town. It's one of the things I love to do. I biked past this building probably for 20 years and never set foot inside of it. And then a couple months ago, they had the Site of Music gallery that was here, and all these local musicians and painters were doing this really wonderful gallery. And one of my friends had a painting here, so I thought, I'm going to go down and check out her painting. So the first time I actually set foot in this building was in October of last year. Came in here and was blown away. I walked through the whole place. This was such an inspiring venue. But what was neat about it was that over in the corner was this piano that was sitting there. And I'm thinking, what a great idea, a gallery with a musical instrument. So I went up to the reception desk and I said, do you mind if I play? She's like, what are you talking about? This is a gallery. I'm like, let me play for like 10 minutes. So she did. She was very nice. I think she's over there now. I don't know if you remember that? You don't remember that? Okay. You kind of gave me this quizzical look like, maybe it wasn't you. So anyhow, I sat down to play, and then all these people started coming up, and then I think you actually came off the elevator, came down, and you're like, yes, let's have him. You were so happy. So she came down, she's like, do you want to do Coffees and Conversation? And I'm like, who are you? So that's what happened. It was a total serendipitous experience. So quite nice. So it was great. So yeah, you could say that ties into this dreamscape.
Follow our dreams.
That's right. You have to. Featuring Chris Shaw on fiddle. Come in whenever you feel. We got like one 30-minute rehearsal in, so if this sounds kind of sketchy, there's a reason for it. So we're busy.
I hope it doesn't sound sketchy.
one time I had Chris come over. There's a local musician that was working on a piece of original music. I have a small studio in my place, and the song was called Oak. It's about being strong like an oak tree. And she came over, and she had an idea for a song, but I said, you know, you really need fiddle in this song. So I called up Chris. I said, could you come over and play fiddle on the song? And the guy came over, and he played one note for probably 8 measures. And it was so beautiful. The one note that he just did was so powerful that it put me into tears, and probably everybody that heard it into tears. He has incredible technique and emotion with this instrument, so he's a joy to work with, too. So we're going to do another piece off of the album. This actually is a piece that my friend John Bolzenius wrote. I don't know if anybody here knows John Bolzenius. He's another local musician. He's a luthier. He has a shop called Guitar House Workshop located in the Clinton Township. And he's a childhood friend of mine. We went to St. Andrew and Watterson together, so I've known him for like, almost 50 years now. And he's a fantastic singer-songwriter as well. And he wrote the song in high school about the same time that I wrote my piece. And I just loved the piece. So I said, do you mind if I take that and actually do a version of that on my album? He's like, I don't care. So he actually sang it on the album. And then I did the music, and I came up with the words. So we kind of collaborated on that. But we're going to do, of course, an instrumental version of that today. So this one is called Save Me. And it could be very reticent about how a lot of people feel right now. A lot of people need to be saved from something, right? Yeah, rain, exactly. You just come in whenever you're ready. It's key of D.
Bravo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like I said, that is on the album. That actually does have vocals on that. Now, when I put together the album, I was not privy to a lot of the great string players in town, so I actually did a lot of this on my keyboard. I purchased an Ensoniq, so it's still good quality, but it doesn't have the real thing. So just keep that in mind as you listen. But beautiful piece. John did write the song and sang it. It's a wonderful job, and Chris did excellent job on that. It sounded great, fantastic. So, all right. Well, I got one more. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions so far about what we talked about. Following your dreams and doing music and. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do the piano and the violin together? What I have is like, do they have electric piano?
Oh, you mean yeah, there's actually a lot of really expensive keyboards. Roland makes them, Yamaha makes them, and Sonic makes them, and these actually do up to like, 2,000 or 3,000 sounds on them. So back in the day, when I was first writing these pieces of music, I had very, very big visions in my head, but I didn't know the musicians that could actually pull it off. So I was able to actually kind of artificially reproduce it myself. And I was really happy with the finished product. I had a lot of people said it sounded good. It's very emotional. That's what I really cared about. So it's obviously no substitute. There's no substitute for the real thing. Never will be, never, I'm always very happy to work with a talented musician like Chris. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that I did have a dream in order to become a certified draftsman.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And even though I had made an A in college level drafting, I didn't make an A in American Renaissance.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So what's going on basically is that even though I didn't have my field, or should I say rather my important in the field of drafting,
Right.
I'm still living a very full life because I go around and I draw some of the buildings that are in danger of being demolished.
Okay.
So that once they're gone, they'll be ready.
Do you work for the city, or do you do this by yourself?
Oh, just by myself.
That's really neat. That's a really interesting thing. Yes, ma'am.
How long did it take you to learn to play the piano?
I probably spent 3 hours every night for about 3 years till I felt confident enough that I could actually go out and start selling my wares. I loved it, though. It wasn't like I sat down and said, I need to go from 6 till 9, break at 7:30. I just loved it. So, and there was enough music going on at the time when I was really cutting my teeth in it that I was just really inspired by it. So, and I wasn't dating at the time. I was kind of a loser back during those days. So there was no girlfriend. So it really does help. A lack of girlfriend really does help your creative thing. So I do encourage you, if you want to go in the music business, dump your boyfriend or girlfriend, like I was dumped by my girlfriend when I quit my job. Yes, sir.
Who is your inspiration?
I have several. To be honest with you, I'll tell you an interesting story. My mom brought home Jesus Christ Superstar.
Inspiration.
My mom brought home Jesus Christ Superstar when I was probably in the 4th or 5th grade, and I absolutely adored that. I wore the grooves off that album, and I love the fact it was kind of rock, kind of classical. I was a good Catholic boy, so it had a lot of religious undertones that I really could gravitate towards. So that was probably a big one. So I'd say Andrew Lloyd Webber. Elton John is a big one, but I don't sing. But I loved Yanni when he was kind of a deal back in the day. Vangelis, if you guys remember Vangelis, he did Chariots of Fire. I loved him. I loved Rick Wakeman, actually. I know there's one Rick Wakeman fan in here. Does that mean Rick Wakeman fan? All right, yeah. Rick Wakeman was basically a classically trained pianist that joined a rock band. And I think I really enjoyed it. He was playing with a band called Yes, and he's done his own thing, so. Those are probably my big ones for piano, but, I have other ones. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but I've been listening to you there. You probably can play Papa piano.
I have to go down and redo it. I actually done that for multiple weddings, but I try to commit everything to memory. I just play a little bit better that way. So I'm not a great sight reader, like put music in front of me, and if it's there for a while, sometimes it'll leave. So there's a lot of music that's circulating around and it's kind of fuzzy. But yeah, I played out with a flutist a couple years ago, and this is a wonderful blend of the two. So it's a beautiful piece, one of my favorites. Yes. I did some classical. I've worked with some classical trained musicians. It's not my forte. I love doing my own stuff. It's just much more rewarding. Chris can attest. We both played in cover bands. We've done all sorts of different types of music. But I think when the rubber meets the road is when you can write your own material, go out and share it with the public. It really is so much more gratifying than anything else. I worked with this cover band for 6 years, and we played all over, played Hollywood Casino, all the big festivals, and it was really fun. But this is 10 times more gratifying. In fact, playing with Matt Monta was 10 times more gratifying because we got to actually interject our own artistic sentiment to that. So, all right, any other questions? Because I think we got time for, actually we're doing okay as far as time. I'm going to do one more piece for you that Chris and I worked on together. This is a song I wrote This actually is a song that I wrote with a melody in mind. I'm not going to sing it for you today. I'm going to spare you the misery. We're just going to do a rendition of it. This is going to be off my next album. It's called Is That Enough?
Say, do you not, everyone, hear the melody? Isn't it exquisite? And it isn't to say to you, well, I would rather have that than your singing. I feel you are singing. You are singing to us and with us in those melodies.
Yes. Yeah, I'll throw out one more suggestion. So I have basically a bass baritone voice, and nobody really wants to hear a bass baritone for much more than a song or two. And I practice all the time, but it's just not a pleasant sound. So as a frustrated singer, it made me a better musician. Because I'm like, okay, I can't sing this, but I can play it on piano pretty good. So I just switched gears and said, all right, I'll just be a piano player, basically. Yes, I am. And this one will sing to you as well. Now, he's singing better. He's a much better singer than me. So, but, yeah, we're going to do one more piece for you, then we'll wrap it up here. We're doing good as far as time. So thank you guys very much for coming and for listening. And thank you very much to Sho Nakamura. Sho not only is he the kindest heart that I've met in years. He's tuned this piano multiple times. I'm doing a recording session on Sunday. He's going to go over and tune the piano for there. He's a real live Renaissance man. He's a wonderful man. Thank you so much. He's shooting video. So what happened, Ellen came dancing down like this. Remember that? And I'm like, who's the crazy lady? You remember that?
Well, and then I remember Cho coming to me and saying, did you hear Peter Vogel play? And I said, yes, and I danced with him.
So really, you could thank Sho, because Sho's the one who came and said, well, why don't you come do a Coffees and Conversations? So thank you very much, Sho, for all you do. He is literally, when he's done with this, he's going to go down and make probably the pottery for tomorrow's event. He's going to probably shoot the photos. And then he's going to play piano better than me, right? He's a wonderful man. So thank you very much, Sho. Appreciate it.
Renaissance, I like that.
He's a Renaissance man. True. All right, you ready? D major, just whatever you feel like doing. want to publicly thank Chris Shaw for being a wonderful guy. He's the busiest man in town. Between a baby, 3 bands, 8 students, what else you got going on? Yes, you're a very busy man. So that is one of the good and bad things about being a full-time musician. A lot of times you're juggling so many hats, and all the good ones are doing 4 and 5 projects. So it's really tough to kind of keep schedules going. So thank you so much for doing that. It sounded great. He's a wonderful musician. So, all right, any other questions? I think we're about ready to wrap it up. We got about 5 more minutes left. So anything else?
Why don't you do Norwegian Woods that you were practicing?
Oh, do it? Okay. You mind if we do it real quick? All right. This is a dedication to Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much, Chris.
I had a mentor when I was studying in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I thought his only way of being was teaching this pastoral theology. He said, no, I go out to the country clubs, to the bars, and I play the piano.
Wow, how about that?
And I thought, what was it for? I mean, I just was so, what is so different about him? But he was a musician, and he carried that music into everything he did. But it was his secret He didn't tell us. Till I was saying, what's going on here? Are you just teaching theology? There's more to it than that. It's music. It's music. Wasn't that wonderful? Wasn't that wonderful?
Thank you very much. Thank you.